Welcome back to another episode of the Tracy Take. We are talking about the Dallas Cowboys this afternoon. But first, I just want to say, if you have not already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so we can send you guys a message every time we post a video. We love hearing your guys' feedback, so whether you like or dislike what we're saying, let us know in the comments. All right, we got a big episode here coming up about the Dallas Cowboys. America's team. They had a really big glaring issue last season, and that was definitely the defensive side of the ball. And
Oh,
they did a lot.
I was gonna say Dak Prescott's ankle, but defense as well. Yeah, I would say defense as well.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but
Sorry, I messed up your train
no,
of thought there.
no. You're good. But they had a big hole everywhere on defense last year. Besides Trayvon Diggs, they really didn't have that much talent. Leighton Vander Esch was hurt, and DeMarcus Lawrence just wasn't necessarily able to do what he usually does. So they spent like 7 or 9 draft picks on the defensive side of the ball this year. I mean, they put a crazy amount of effort into improving this defensive side of football.
8 of the, I think, 11 picks
8?
that they had. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, they added guys like Micah Parson. One of my favorite picks is Osa Odigizua. I just like to say his name. And then Kelvin Joseph and Jabril Cox was a guy that they got in the 4th round that I was really a big fan of. So they added a bunch of good young pieces. Whether it correlates to actual defensive success or not is a bigger question. But they also added the former Falcons head coach, Dan Quinn. And as a Falcons fan, I'm going to ask you kind of what your opinion is on that.
So, I mean, I don't think Dan Quinn is a bad defensive-minded coach. If you look at the time that they had their Super Bowl run, Falcons were around 500, maybe a little bit above 500 at their Week 9 bye. Dan Quinn said, hey, I'm going to take over on the defensive side of the ball and the decision-making. And they had one of the best defenses, which really actually was what kind of propelled them to to the Super Bowl victory. They had a very solid defense. Obviously, the offense was working really well. Also,
Super Bowl run, not victory.
Run. Oh, did I say victory? Sorry, I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, as a Patriots fan, I had to put that.
I think I'm dreaming right now, but this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. But so I do think that he has clearly had some success, and so obviously people are going to have their doubts. Yeah, maybe as a head coach. I think that there were some personnel issues. I think he had a lot of game management issues as well as a head coach. As a defensive coordinator, you're not going to have to worry about that. But that being said, he used some of his connections and brought over several people over from the Falcons. Most notably, Keanu Neal, who it can be contending to be in the safety spot with Xavier Woods. He could also come up and potentially play linebacker as well because he is a very hard-hitting physical guy. Yeah, he's going to be very versatile, and I actually really like Keanu Neal. Personally, I always really liked him as a Falcon. He has just been devastated with injuries. An ACL tear. Yeah. I think it was the first week after the first week of the season after the Super Bowl run. And then he tore his ACL the next season, a couple weeks in. He has so much talent if he could just stay healthy. But this is really what's going to be the big question mark, honestly, for the defense, because we're going to get into the offense later and how many weapons that they have. But I'm looking at, like, I made this list of all these guys, the D-line, potential starters, a couple known starters for sure, but same thing with the linebackers, a couple of potential starters, secondary couple potential starters, and who the pieces are going to be. He's going to have Dan Quinn's going to have his hand. Is going to have a fun off season or preseason, so to say, trying to figure out what is the right formula to have somewhat of a cohesive defense, because they had one of the worst defenses in the league last year, 28th in 2020. If we're going just by points, I'm sure the yards were not that much better in a division with some pretty weak offenses all around. So if they can just have a formidable defense, they should win this division. Right. I mean, that's my taking these notes. That was my thought process. If they can be 16th overall in defense and Dak Prescott can stay healthy, they have all the weapons in the world to win this division. Like, there's nothing. There really shouldn't be anything that should stop them.
Yeah. Schematically, I really like Dan Quinn's fit into
Hmm.
the Cowboys system. So Dan Quinn kind of runs like that cover three, I guess, like off man. He doesn't let teams get a lot of big plays. He makes you piece together a lot of those like 7 to 11 play drives where you have to go underneath and kind of complete a lot of that. And I think
Yeah,
that plays in really well to what the Cowboys do because they have a heavy offense that is going to make teams have to play from behind and have to play and move the ball. And I think that's kind of what he did with the Falcons, especially that year that they went to the Super Bowl. Was that defense was really able to capitalize late in games when teams had to force the ball down the field because the Falcons were going to hang 35 to 42 on every single team that they played just because the
yeah,
offense was so good. And I think the
yeah,
Cowboys are the same way. Now, whether he actually has the personnel to do that now is I guess in question just because I think their defense is very very young. They
yeah,
lost veteran leader Sean Lee. Leighton Vander Esch is injury prone at best. I
yeah.
feel like him and Keanu Neal kind of run in that same circle. And so other than that, they're very young. So that's to me is the biggest question mark for them. So
Yeah, I mean, I would say Sean Lee probably isn't the biggest of loss for them. Like, I don't think he played too many games with the Cowboys. Seemed like he was always injured.
he
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I mean, I think
he
losing Alden Smith, he probably hasn't had the most successful
yeah
career in general that people would like, but the potential that was there. Dan Quinn might have maybe been able to get something out of him or something like that. Xavier Woods is going to
yeah.
be a huge loss. Uh,
Sean Lee was more of a veteran presence, I guess, in the last couple seasons,
mhm.
because Leighton Vander Esch and I forget the name of their other linebacker, Jalen Smith,
Yeah,
who who kind of they were more talented than Sean Lee, but Sean Lee was kind of a cornerstone of that defense for a few to probably like 5 years, I think. So
yeah,
definitely, I think a big leadership loss if not a player. So
that's fair. That's fair.
it is something to keep an eye on. Uh, but I do want to get over on the offensive side of the ball here before we get into the schedule.
Hmm.
I mean, absolutely loaded. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel
Oh my
Elliott, Dak
gosh.
Prescott coming off of horrendous ankle injury,
Yeah.
and I hope he gets a full recovery. Offensive line, probably the
Well,
most questionable that it's been
and
in
one of
a
the
few
biggest
seasons.
things, similar to the Eagles, which we just spoke about, they are getting back one of the right, not one of their right tackle, Lael Collins. He missed all of 2020 with some
Yeah.
injuries. Tyron Smith, their left tackle, has been solid, but he also has injury concerns as well. Um,
Hmm.
so that will be interesting. The biggest question mark is really actually going to be who's going to be playing center for them. Right now, they have Tyler
Yeah.
Badaz. I don't think Badaz is correct, but I like that. The bedazzle. I don't know. I'm laughing at myself over here.
The
But
bedazzle.
also Joe Looney could potentially be one of the starters as
Yeah.
well. So I like that
Hmm.
though. If he does start, he's like, oh, the bedazzle line. I like that. Kind of weird, but that's okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the biggest
A little
question.
a little feminine, but
A little
but yeah,
feminine.
no, definitely.
You know how
I
the Cowboys like. Yeah.
especially yeah. The cheerleaders would like it, but
They would. They
especially in
would.
a division where I think the defensive lines are going to be much improved. I think that offensive line is probably one of the biggest things that could really hold them back, like on the offensive side of the ball. I think they're too
Yeah.
talented anywhere else. But I do want to go ahead and move on and get into their schedule really quick before we wrap up on the video.
Hmm.
And then, so they don't quite have. Well, I take that back. They have a pretty tough, in my opinion, opening to the season. They have to go to Tampa Bay, to the Chargers, and then they play uh, two division games with Carolina in the middle, and then they have to go to New England in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty tough first 6 weeks. And then I don't really think it gets much easier for them as they have to go to Minnesota, and then they play Atlanta, and then to Kansas City in week 11, uh, and then some easier games, and they close out with a bunch of division games, uh, excluding Arizona there. So it's an interesting road for the Cowboys. They have the second easiest schedule based off of wins and losses last year, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's mostly due to their division just being very poor.
Yeah.
So
So this to me, just looking at this, I think this is worst case scenario for the Cowboys. I think best case scenario
mhm,
they could have a winning record. I do think that they can win.
mhm.
I see in the division you have them going 2-4. They could easily go 4-2. You have them losing to
Yeah,
Carolina. You have them losing to
yeah,
Atlanta. That potentially could be a difference maker as well. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to watch. But it's kind of as what we were saying. They have the potential to be. They have the
yeah,
potential to be really good. It's just so many question marks on the defensive side of the ball.
mhm,
They're going to be looking to hopefully put up 30 points a game, and that'll probably be able
yeah,
to help get them out. They potentially can make the playoffs. They can probably win the division. The best way I think to make the playoffs for them, and this is going to be like my final thought for the Cowboys, best way for them to make the playoffs
yeah,
is to win the division, and they can easily win this division. Nothing's holding them back
yeah,
and
yeah,
winning this division. The only thing holding them back is the Cowboys, and that's what happened last year. And so,
yeah,
Dak Prescott getting hurt that also helped. But that being said, though, even when
yeah,
Dak was healthy, wasn't that the one? The AFC East was the division. I think after 4 weeks, I think the Bill. Which team was it? It was one of the undefeated teams. It was after 4 or 5 weeks. I think the Bills, maybe the Steelers, but one of the teams had more wins than the entire NFC East combined. Like every team only had one win, and they all had lost every other
yeah,
game besides that.
yeah.
So it's stuff like that. You know what I
That's
mean? Like they can take advantage of this very weak division.
yeah, and so that's my thing is like I just don't think that defense is going to be able to develop enough and be competitive enough yet. And I think when they play teams that can hold that offense back just a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, I think they're going to struggle just because they're going to get into those shootouts and their defense isn't going to be able to stop anybody. So
Potentially,
that for me is
yeah.
kind of my worry for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We'll learn a lot throughout the whole season, but um, let us know your thoughts. We appreciate you watching this video and making it this far. As Ryan said in the beginning, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can see when we release new content. If you like what we say, obviously like. If you dislike what we say, or if you like what we say, leave a comment, as we love to hear your thoughts and love to know what you think. So anyways, take care and good luck this season, Cowboys.